Hare Krishna, dear devotees. We are very grateful and you're all welcome to today's session for joining today's session on the jewels from Srimadbhagavatam. And today we are covering some very famous verses, 4 verses that are referred to as Tri Shloki Bhagavatam. Hare Krishna Devi, would you like to add anything?
So Prabhuji, is your microphone on? Audio?
Yes.
Okay.
Can someone else also confirm if you can hear me?
Yes, Prabhuji, we can hear you very well.
Hare Krishna, Dhanvat Prabhu. Hare Krishna. So I'm sharing my screen. So today we are covering CATUH Shloki Bhagavatam. Hare Krishna, dear devotees, please join us for the invocation prayers. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Mudiriyet Shravatam Swa Katha Krishna Punya Shamana Kirtanaha Hridayantastho Hya Bhadrani Vidhunoti Suhatsatam Nashtaprayeshu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavatir Uttam Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Nashtiki. Hare Krishna, dear devotees, let's start with the very first verse of the CATUH Shloki Bhagavatam, text number 33. So this is from the second canto, 9th chapter, and the verses are 33 to 36. Ahameva samevagre nanyad yat sadasat param paschadaham yadaitacha yo avishyeta swasamyaham. Word for word. Aham, I, the personality of Godhead. Eva, certainly. Asam, existed. Eva, only. Agre, before the creation. Na, never. Anyat, anything else. Yat, all those. Sat, the effect. Asat, the cause. Param, the supreme. Paschat, at the end. Aham, I, the personality of Godhead. Yat, all these. Etat, creation. Cha, also. Yaha, everything. Avashishyeta, remains. Saha, that. Asmi, I am. Aham, I, the personality of Godhead. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, Sisi Bhaktivedanta Swami, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Brahma, it is I, the personality of Godhead, who was existing before the creation, when there was nothing but myself. Nor was there the material nature, the cause of this creation. That which you see now is also I, the personality of Godhead. And after annihilation, what remains will also be I, the personality of Godhead. Purport, Devi? Purport has, this is a long purport.
So should we do the purports, or you want to just share the essence of CATUH Shloki?
Sure.
With the translations, you can maybe just at least have translation, and because you yourself have a lot of material to share.
Sure. Hare Krishna. So devotees, again, we want to cover the next 3 verses as well, as Devi said, and then we'll continue to have further discussion on this topic. Text 34. Priteyartam yat pratiyeta na pratiyeta chatmani tad vidyatmano mayam yatha bhaso yatha tamaha. O Brahma, whatever appears to be of any value, if it is without relation to me, has no reality. Know it as my illusory energy, that reflection which appears to be in darkness. Text 35. Yata mahanti bhutani bhuteshu chashvavasheshva anu pravishtanya pravishtani tatha teshu na teshu aham. O Brahma, please know that the universal elements enter into the cosmos and at the same time do not enter into the cosmos. Similarly, I myself also exist within everything created, and at the same time, I am outside of everything. Text 36. एतावद एव जिज्ञास्यं तत्व जिज्ञासुनात्मनः व्यतिकेराभ्याम yatsya sarvatra sarvada. A person who is searching after the supreme absolute truth, the personality of Godhead, must certainly search for it up to this in all circumstances, in all space and time, and both directly and indirectly. Hare Krishna, dear devotees. So please join us for the prayers, Guru Pranati and seeking blessings from the Acharyas and the senior Vaishnavas. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shanyavadi Pashatya Deshitarine Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langhayate Girim Yat Kripa Tadaham Vande Shri Gurum Dinatarinam Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So in the purport, Srila Prabhupada is giving the reflection onto how these four verses can also be misunderstood because they seem to be related, very much talked about even by the impersonalists, those who are known as, who like to be called like to call themselves as Brahmavadi or Gyanis, and they are meditating on Brahman, but the mood is that they want to merge into Brahman. So we'll be discussing some of those aspects as well. And this, in the purpose, Srila Prabhupada completely defeats their argument by identifying that when there is love, then there are two personalities involved. You cannot love nothing. You have to love something. And so if someone asked, are you in love? What would your answer be? My dear devotees, think within yourself, meditate. Because in the spiritual world, being in love means looking beyond the temporary, observing with devotion, verifying the Lord's presence, and exploring the absolute fully. So we are not just discussing four verses. These are, CATUH SLOKI Bhagavatam. So all the essence of Bhagavatam are in these four verses. So we are not just discussing these four verses, we are entering the heart of Srimadbhagavatam, because that's where love resides. And this is where the Supreme Lord reveals himself directly to Brahma. This is not a philosophy class. This is not a class based on tarka vitark, arguments and counter arguments. It is a journey from illusion to intimacy with the Lord. And this journey was taken up by none other than Lord Brahma himself. So like I mentioned, today we will be using the acronym LOVE. L-O-V-E, the four-letter word, and I also shared with you from the perspective of what they stand for. So let's start with look beyond the temporary. So here in the very first verse, in the verse 33, it was very nicely, Lord is revealing himself in the heart of Lord Brahma, and he is revealing, and Lord Brahma can see him pratyaksha. Pratyaksha, sometimes people say face to face. Yes, but when you're looking at someone's face and they are looking at your face, you're not looking at your own face. So Lord Brahma can see him face to face within his heart. Because within the heart is the living entity and the Supreme Personality of Godhead who's appearing as well. And then there is external body, the gross body, the subtle body, and everything else that goes on with so many desires. So Lord is saying, Aham evasam eva agre. So agre means, in the beginning, it was only I. Nanyad yat sat asat param. And that, I am beyond the temporary and the permanent, the various aspects of this life. And paschadaham yadetacha. And after this time, also at the end, who will remain? I will only remain. Yo vashishyeta sasamyaham. And at the present moment also, who is present? I am present. Now somebody could say, Lord is Satchidananda Vigraha, right? Ishvaraha Paramaha Krishna Satchidananda Vigraha Anadir Govindaha Sarva Karana Karanam. The invocation mantra of Brahma Samhita. That's Lord Brahma himself is singing. Somebody could say, wait a minute, Sat means one who is, eternal, one who is absolute truth, one who does not change. But isn't Lord changing? Because in the beginning he was only there. Then so many living entities came out. From the navel of Lord came out the lotus, and Brahma came out. And so many living entities, they took on bodies and they carried out various activities. And at the end, it was all annihilated. This is from the secondary creation perspective, Brahma, Vishnu, and Mahesh. But in the primary creation, Mahavishnu was lying in the ocean. And from the pores of his body and from his breathing came out many universes. So isn't Lord changing? Means things are happening and then they are getting merged. Means as he's inhaling, everything is merging back into him. Sometimes it's very interesting that time is relative, but when we are listening to Bhagavatam, we think, it's nice entertainment, it's giving us nice, peaceful things to hear, distracting away from our true duties in life, which is the material life. No, this is actually a revelation. Today we are on this journey where we have to learn to look beyond the temporary. So how is Lord creating all these universes and then further entering into these universes as Garbhodakshaya Vishnu and further expanding within those universes and maintaining those universes? And then finally, when all the universes are merging in, all these Vishnus are also merging into Mahavishnu, right? So Kshirodakshaya Vishnu is the one through which all incarnations happen. That's why Krishna is referred to as Avatar as well as Avatari. So from childhood, we were hearing like Krishna is Avatar of Vishnu because he's using the passage of Kshirodakshaya Vishnu to come into this world. But he is the original Father. He is the original Supreme Personality of Godhead. And Lord Balaram, who is an expansion from Krishna, the very first expansion, is the Supreme Personality of Servitor Godhead, Adi Guru. And we refer to as Nityananda Prabhu, who is also Adi Guru, because he is incarnation of Balaram. So Krishna is eternal, but things seems to be changing. How could that be? So Acharyas reveal that it is through his potencies, his energies that cause the changes. So believe or not, my dear devotees, we are also somewhere responsible for all the changes that are happening in this world. Srila Prabhupada, he used to give this example that these planets are not just floating up in the air. There is that energy that's holding them together, and that is from Ananta Shesh, the centripetal force, the force of gravity, all these aspects are being carried out. Whenever we are talking about this, wait a minute, aren't we talking about energies? Yes, we are talking about energies. So the Lord's external energy, when time, mixes with her, the three modes of material nature, they start acting. And it is the energies that can expand and that can contract. But Lord, he himself is completely independent. So we have to understand this, that Krishna is eternal, he is absolute, he is unchanging. Yet at the same time, we, are minuscule, qualitatively one, but quantitatively different. Yet at the same time, when we think of ourselves as this body, then we should understand that what we are observing are the various bodies. The living entities are still the same. It's the bodies, the energies which is supplying and the cause of the various bodies. So now suddenly we start looking at matter as energies, the external energy of the Lord. Earth, water, fire, air, ether, right? And then we have the subtle energies, the three of them: mind, intelligence, and false ego. False ego is nothing but covered ego. It creates kind of like, what do you call, at the time of dusk, there's this fog that gets created. It's like that. Or in the early morning also you see some fog, but as soon as sun is out, all that fog goes away. So in the presence of sun, fog doesn't stay for long. So the true vision is when we start seeing beyond this flickering form of the world, the big phantasmagoria that's been created by the energies of Lord Krishna. And we also know that when we act, it is because of the presence of soul that the body, further develops and progresses and finally dwindles in due course of time. And so beyond these changing things that are happening, Aristotle said change is the only constant, is completely looking from the external view that the world is constantly changing, and that's the nature of this world. Dukkhalayam ashashvatam. It's a place of misery and it is temporary. So we have to look beyond, all times, past, present, and future, and recognize the presence of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Krishna, at all times. So one of the common example is many people, they are interested in upgrading their phones, right? They're very much attached to the phones. And they're constantly upgrading their iPhones, especially. So yes, we upgrade our phones timely, but we hesitate to upgrade our consciousness. We are obsessed with the latest version of gadgets, but we neglect the very eternal vision of our soul's relationship with Krishna. Every day we should be rejuvenating. Every day when we go in front of the deities with a complete new heart, we should be offering our prayers, paying obeisances to him, carrying out his worship, and singing his glories. And believe me, my dear devotees, if we start upgrading our consciousness, as we upgrade everything else around us, even, before starting this session, my laptop said, I want to install the new update. 7 o'clock, I have to start my discussion. I have to share the jewels with the devotees. How can I let you upgrade? Let me help upgrade myself by making this offering of prayers to Lord Shri Krishna in the, in this discussion on SLOKI Bhagavatam. So there are many stories that we talk about, and there is a similar story of a wealthy businessman. Yeah, he's chairman of big industries, and here he's, as time passes, he's nearing death, and then he is holding onto his bank passbook. Now his son is surprised. My father, why? Why are you doing this? Why are you clutching to this bank passbook? Then father is like, I have worked all my life, working day and night to build all these big bank balances, big houses, so many big cars and big bungalows and all these nice things in my life I have collected. And I'm just carrying them on. The son says, but father, you can't take it with you. That the businessman, he is looking up and says, then what was I working for? Because this is the biggest question. Every day we should be asking, not at the last moment, at the moment of death, but we should be asking every day as if it is our last day, as if we have just 24 hours to live, and we should be asking, what am I working for? What am I looking for? So we have to look beyond the temporary. Don't live for what ends with this body. Invest in what remains. Our relationship with the Lord. So sambandh is where we have to start developing. And sometimes it's very interesting that when, material world, you have to survive, people say. And Srila Prabhupada would say that when we have taken birth, everything else is destined for us. And as we make efforts, we continue to perform our duties, everything else is also destined for us. We have a number of breaths that we are going to take. That's destined at the very moment that we took birth. We are going to have so much pleasure based on our past karmas and so much pain or distress because of our past reactions of our past sins or impious activities. And so we have to look at what is it that we are working for. And sometimes devotees, they joke around. It's very interesting that the material energy, she has made us, the living entities, so illusion, right? And she always wants to offer one job after another, at least the dream of one job after another, phantasmagoria. And so the devotees, but we don't follow that path. So sometimes people, they criticize us. But why do we keep rejecting the job offer from Maya.inc? So we have to also understand that, yes, Maya is giving us various jobs to keep us engaged, but the benefits, they look great, all this material opulence and nice facilities, but the retirement plan is really terrible, my dear devotees. What is the retirement plan? Janam, Mrityu, Jara, Vyadhi, Dukkha Doshanudarshanam. Birth, death, old age, disease, those are the 4 kinds of evils. They continue again. So birth again is a very bad plan. So if our goal is limited to this life, then our returns are temporary. But if we invest in Krishna, if we invest in the relationship with Krishna, then we are looking for an eternal dividend. Then we are constantly seeking the blessings. So Srila Prabhupada, he would quote, before the creation, Lord is saying there was nothing but myself. The material world is temporary manifestation. But Lord is saying, I am the supreme eternal. In the purpose, Srila Prabhupada, he is revealing. Now, you could say, okay, it's all very nice. We have to develop our relationship, but where do we start? How do we apply in practical life? Then we should start with prayers from the very moment we wake up, right? When we wake up, we pray to the Lord Shiva, we pray to the Guru, we pray to all the wonderful Vaishnavas. And also, it's always good to add a few more prayers. Like we can start the day by saying, let me see beyond appearances and connect with eternal. My dear Lord, please reveal yourself unto me. Morning, afternoon, evening, yes, the Brahmanas perform Gayatri mantras. And that's also a good time that others can also look at focus on little time on meditation. And we should ask ourselves, am I focused on the eternal or the ephemeral? Am I focusing on the absolute or the temporary? Am I focusing on the Sat or the Asat? So, my dear devotees, we have to look beyond the temporary. And when we are looking beyond something, of course, we are engaging our eyes. In this particular case, all our senses are engaged. Then our eyes are going to observe something, and that is, we have to observe with devotional eye. And that is the focus of the second mantra. Vritiyartam yat pratiyeta na pratiyeta chatmani tadvidyadatmano mayam yatha bhaso yatha tamaha. O Brahma, whatever appears to be of any value, artham means value, anartha means no value, things of no value. If it is without relation to me, then it has no reality. Lord is revealing. Know it as my illusory energy, Maya. Maya means that which is not. So she is presenting illusion as it is, as if it is true. Just like in the forest, the animals are distracted by mirages and they thinking there's water and they end their life chasing after this mirages, but mirages never end. So that reflection which appears to be in darkness, this is being revealed. But how do we observe? We are not observing with this material eyes, but we are observing with devotional eyes. And that's why we have to look at, sometimes people put this lot of stress on intelligence. But we understand that actually love is not a relationship of logic. It's not a Tark with Tark session. It's not a Mushti Goshti session, sometimes we say. It is a loving exchange, and that's a matter of heart. So if you have fallen in love, you know that your heart overrides everything, right? So everything that is related to Lord is true and is valuable. And anything that is unrelated to the Lord is an illusion. That is the key substance from this verse. So, what it defines value, earth, Lord Krishna himself is revealing that earth, this value, is defined by connection to Krishna. If things are in connection with Krishna, then they have value. And if there is no link, then it is like a shining balloon, beautiful but hollow. It's like saying, you're holding a lamp and you're saying, okay, I have a bulb and it lights. If it's not connected to the socket, which is not connected to the, the electrical plug, which is not connected to your electrical system and directly to the powerhouse, it won't light up. It may be a beautiful bulb, but unless there is a connection to the powerhouse. So similarly, for us to really be in our glories, to be in the shining mood, we have to be connected with Krishna, and we have to see everything in connection with Krishna. That's why we talk about the smart mantra. Smartavyo satatam Vishnu vismartavyo na jatu chit sarve vidhi nisheda syure tayoreva kinkara. That always remember Krishna, never forget Krishna. And all other rules and regulations are just subservient to these two principles. So here we are understanding that there are a lot of things that are distracting us, yet at the same time we have to bring our focus to the center. And who's in the center? But in devotee's life, Krishna is in the center. So the social media means again glorifies likes, but not lives. You can have 1 million followers, but can still feel empty inside if Krishna isn't followed in your heart. Kamsa, he was surrounded by all his courtesans, all his armies and his ministers. He had all his citizens sitting in this arena. But after Krishna and Balaram killed Charun and Mushtika, he felt alone. He felt alone the moment Krishna entered the arena. So this is the state when people are building so much because there is so little there. And people who don't seem to have much outside, but they have a lot here. Devi, would you like to share?
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Sorry. I just muted.
You have to mute the microphone as well as the speaker. Hare Krishna. Please go ahead.
So I very quickly wanted to mention few participants or devotees, they joined little late.
Sure.
So for their reference, I very quickly want to mention that today you are covering from Canto 2, Chapter 9, verses number 33, 34, 35, and 36.
Yes.
They are called CATUH SLOKI. They give the essence of CATUH SLOKI, Srimadbhagavatam.
Yes.
And you have a beautiful acronym here, LOVE, love.
Yes.
And you also shared that L, you have been explaining, we have to understand L represents looking beyond the temporary,
Yes.
which is the essence of text number 33.
Yes.
There, Krishna is saying to Brahmaji, because through the flow of Srimad Bhagavatam from Canto 1, we have come to a point where after Brahmaji offers prayer,
Yes.
So Krishna is addressing him after that, that before the creation, only I existed. After creation, I am still present. And when everything is annihilated, I will remain. So you have just explained that everything begins and ends with the Supreme Lord, and He is the eternal truth. And you were giving a practical application, and you have also shared a nice short story which helps us understand with real life example of the cell phone how we need to upgrade our consciousness.
Yes.
So I hope this is helpful for those who joined a little late. And so please go ahead. Within the acronym LO, O represents?
Observe with devotional eyes. So yes, we are, looking beyond the temporary, but then what are we looking? But how we're looking is also very important. It is not that what we are doing. We have to understand why we are doing it, how we are doing it, before just saying what, because what just talks about actions. So observe with devotional eyes is the context of verse 34. Devi, would you like to add further?
That's it.
Thank you. Hare Krishna, dear devotees, those who join a little later, all are welcome. So we were discussing about the social media. There's a big craze. It's been almost a decade. Big craze has been there for social media. But everyone is focusing on likes, but not lives. And we're talking about how people, they may have millions of followers, but they are still empty inside. They're still trying to find, because what they're just looking in the wrong places. We covered this in the last class as well. But sometimes people are looking in the wrong places. Instead of outside, we have to look inside. We have to develop depth. So many times people, they go and they have so many raffle tickets winnings and so forth. So in one such raffle ticket, a man won a fake gold chain in a carnival. Now he was showing this fake gold chain with pride until, you know, his neck turned green. Sometimes it happens. Gold, some people's skin is very sensitive, like, then it causes some kind of rash or the. Then he realized that the looks can be deceiving. So, my dear devotees, actually, that is the case. In our life, sometimes we get bewildered by looking at someone and we think, wow, this is amazing, this is great. But they can be deceiving. There may be something behind the surface. And that is true. That's why when we look at Bollywood and Hollywood actors and actresses, they seem to be looking like these are the role models for life. People are following them as role models in their life. But these same actors and actresses, they are very miserable inside. And they are having so many divorces, so many fights, and so many things that keeps coming up. So we have to look beyond the temporary. You have to look deep inside, not outside. And also with devotional eyes, so in connection with Krishna. So everything should be in relation with Krishna. When we talk about in Bhagavad Gita, the universal form of the Lord. So there also, in the universal form, why is universal form so stressed? Because when people who cannot see Krishna in real life, right, when they cannot perceive, when they cannot get into the depth of looking at the deities in the temple, then this universal form helps them see everything, this material nature, in connection with Krishna. Yet at the same time, we have to look with devotional eyes. We have to observe with devotional eyes. Otherwise, the looks of this material world can just keep deceiving us, just like the mirages deceive the animals. And so we have to seek substance over appearance. Only Krishna corrected things have eternal value. Everything else is temporary or is just phantasmagoria built up by the material energy, Maya, that which is not. So she's showing us that which is not when she's showing things that are not connected with Krishna. In reality, everything is connected with Krishna. So sometimes people say, well, we should be having, devotees, you should rise above and, you should challenge this materialist. How are they saying so many things and do so many things? But we devotees, we stop arguing with Maya. Why? Because she always keeps bringing up irrelevant points. which are disconnected with Krishna. So again, if the points are not connected from Krishna, we don't have any interest in those topics. So we have to keep the conversation of our lives centered on Krishna, right? Arguments without him are circular in nature. Which reminds me of a very interesting topic. There was, back when we were in our school, and a teacher asked us, he showed us a mug, and he's saying, I'm holding in my right hand. Where do you think is the handle of the mug? So we said, you are holding in your right hand, so from our perspective, it is on your left. It's on the left side. While from your perspective, it is on your right side. He suddenly changed his hand. It's like, wait a minute, your answer is wrong. Now it's on my left side and your right side. So which side is it? So it took us a little while to realize that actually the handle of the mug is not on left side or right side or front side or back side. It's just outside. And anything that's outside is not of so much interest because the main content is in the center of the mug, which is Krishna. Krishna is in the center. Why are we getting distracted by these handles of Maya, which are trying to drive us round in circles after circles? So my Guru Maharaj, His Holiness Gopal Krishna Goswami Maharaj, Srila Bhagavad Pad, he would say, real beauty, value and intelligence is measured in relation to how much it brings us closer to Krishna. And we all, see Srila Prabhupada always stressing, when we take one step towards Krishna, he takes 10 steps towards us. And we know our steps are puny, but his are magnanimous. So now, how can we apply observing with devotional eyes in our life? That may be another question. Like, yes, we talked about how to add more prayers, looking beyond the temporary. So how do we apply this technique? Well, sometimes during the festival times or special holidays, and Memorial Day weekend is coming in US, people go out and they buy things and they gift out things, and there's a lot of charity also being performed. So anytime we make a major purchase, a major plan or a decision, we should ask, will this bring me closer to Krishna or distract me? Now it's very interesting that devotees know how to take thorn out of thorn with a thorn, right? So when we devotees buy phones, we use it in Krishna's service, to hear bhajans, to read shastras and so forth. Not go to social media and then start, getting distracted and going in circles. So we have to ask, will this bring me closer to Krishna or distract me from coming to Krishna? Will it take me away from Krishna? And it's always a good idea. We were talking about the journal. So we may have a weekly topic in our journal. We should be able to have something, say, Krishna filter, right, in our journal. So on a weekly basis, we can, in our journal, note down what things we are doing. And then later in the end of the week, we are saying, and we're starting to reflect back on what we did in the last week, on where our time and energy went, what was keeping us engaged. So, and also related with it, did it bring us closer to Krishna or did it take us farther from Krishna? So we have to learn to observe with devotional eyes. So we covered L and O, looking beyond the temporary, observe with devotional eyes. But when we are observing something, we want to verify, right? So V is to verify the divine presence. And in the verse 35, the third verse of Srimadbhagavatam, SLOKI Bhagavatam, Lord is revealing this. Yata mahante bhutani bhuteshu chashva sheshvanu pravishtane apravishtani tatha teshu na teshvaham. O Brahma, please know that the universe elements enter into the cosmos and at the same time do not enter into the cosmos. Similarly, I myself exist within everything created, at the same time I am outside of everything. So, Krishna is both immanent and transcendent. Just like air, it is within us, yet it is outside us. Krishna is everywhere, but we have to recognize his presence. We must be aware of his presence. Hare Krishna. Thank you, Devi. So, how can we connect? We were talking about the phone, right? And one of the interesting aspects of phone is that we can connect it with our Wi-Fi. So, when our Wi-Fi is everywhere, sometimes our devices still don't connect unless we enter the password. They keep getting the screen, enter the password. Similarly, Krishna is present, but we need the password. And my dear devotees, I'm going to tell you this password. Are you ready with your pen and paper? This password is 8-letter. It's one of the simplest one. And it is referred to as Bhakti, BHAKTI. 6 letters, sorry. Yeah. Devotion was another one. So yes, there are 2 passwords sometimes. One for each language. So we have to understand the password to approach Krishna. Then we can access everything that we want to access. So again, to be able to see the Krishna's presence, to be able to verify the divine presence, we have to engage in activities. So this is a call for action, not just for observance. Now we have observed. So sambandh we talked about. In observance, we developed this sambandh that Jivera Surupaya Krishnera Nityadas, Krishnera Tathashti Shakti Bheda Bhed Prakash. So we living entities are eternal servant of Krishna. Jivera Surupaya Krishnera Nityadas, the eternal servant of Krishna. And now the Das has to do activities. The master and servant have to have that exchange. And that exchange is through devotion. Sometimes the scientists and who are good people, yet at the same time they have artistic claims. The scientist says, I see no God in my lab. So a humble devotee visiting the scientist said, well, you can't see radio waves either, but your phone works. So maybe the problem is your receiver. The problem is your heart. You don't see his presence. The problem is your ears. You don't hear his glories. The problem is your meditation. You are not meditating on the right things. So Krishna's presence, it requires a tuned in heart. The Wi-Fi password is another level where you have to be connected to the Wi-Fi to have the applications work, or at least to have the carrier services. So sometimes people, they talk about this, and devotees, they like to joke around. They say, what's Krishna's favorite browser? Do you know Krishna's favorite browser? You all have some favorite browser. Sometimes you're using Chrome, sometimes you're using Safari, sometimes people are using Firefox. What is Krishna's favorite browser? Internet Explorer of the heart. He is exploring our heart. That's his favorite browser. Remember the 2 birds? One bird is going higher and lower branches of the tree and trying to taste different fruits, but the bird is just observing this bird, waiting for this bird to turn around. So the other bird is exploring the heart of the first bird. So we can continue to search externally or explore internally, because that's where Krishna resides. He resides in our heart. And His Holiness Radha Swami has beautiful quote, that reflects this mood. That Krishna is not just found in temples. He is found in the core of our heart when we approach Him with humility. So again, we have to carry out, that's abhideya, the process. We have to carry out the process of Sharanam Kirtanam Vishnu Smaranam Padasevanam Archanam Vandanam Dasyam Sakyam Atma Nivedanam. So Shravanam is chanting, right? Hearing, sorry. Shravanam is hearing. Kirtanam is chanting. Smaranam is remembering. Padasevanam, serving his lotus feet. Archanam, singing prayers to him. Kirtans are also prayers. Hare Krishna Mahamatra is also a prayer. Call out for Lord's mercy. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And Archanam, doing the deity worship. Vandanam, again prayers. Dasyam, being servant to the Lordship. And Sakhyam, being friend to the Lord. And finally, Atmanivedam, surrendering everything for His pleasure. So, what can we apply on a day-to-day basis, or at least on a weekly basis? So we should do a Krishna sporting activity, right? And the end of each day, note 3 moments when you felt Krishna's presence in the nature, in a person, or a challenge. Krishna is sometimes giving us challenge for our purification. So we should learn to see Krishna at least, at 3 places, if not all the time. And finally, we should try to build it so much so that we can see him at all times. Now, we talked about LOV. V is for verifying. So looking beyond the temporary, observing with devotional eyes, and verifying Krishna's presence. And finally, E is to explore the truth completely. So we have to explore the truth completely. And Krishna himself says in the verse, as we have to carry out Atato Brahma Jigyasa, right? It is our duty to inquire about the Absolute. So this is the same aspect that Krishna is revealing in this verse. Etavadeva jigyasam tattva jigyasu natmanaha anvaya vyatirekyabhyam yasya sarvatra sarvada. A person who is searching after the absolute truth, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, must certainly search for up to this in all circumstances. Up to this means up to His very presence, to find when our search finishes when we have found Krishna. But in reality, when we have found Krishna, that's the time we have found ourselves too. In all space and time and beyond, directly and both directly and indirectly. So bhakti is not part-time or circumstantial. It is a 24/7 mission with direct practices like japa and indirect ones like working with devotion. So if I was to ask you, when does Maya stop working? No, she never. She is working 24/7. And if we are at war with Maya, when should we be stop working? Never. We should be working 24/7. So it is a very important aspect. And there's some amazing, real-time examples we can see. Sometimes we check Google Maps before going anywhere. But when it comes to the path of life, we don't check the Bhagavatam GPS. We're talking about this. Or Gita positioning systems, Bhagavad Gita GPS, right? So this is Bhagavatam GPS, this is Gita GPS. And of course, there's no wonder that we get lost so often because we are failing to check the GPS that actually guides our lives. So a spiritual seeker is asking, where should I find God? Right? Sometimes this kind of inquiries are there. Even Srila Prabhupada's presence, people say, can you show me God? So one spiritual seeker, he asked, where should I find God? So his spiritual master simply replied, try looking everywhere, not just somewhere. Most of the time we are looking somewhere. So this is a good fit response. So he, the seeker, he began chanting while walking, praying, while cooking and serving others with joy. Soon he exclaimed, Krishna is everywhere, because he understood that everything is directly connected with Krishna. So Krishna is not limited to rituals. He's not limited to the deities in the temple. He is our every act when done with love. So this is also very important. When we carry out the activities, they are directly reflection, of Krishna's presence. In this regard, there is a beautiful story of a beggar, who got inspired to see gold. He went to the king and said, my dear king, can you show me gold? King asked, you're a beggar. What would you do? Means you can't even get enough meal for, 3 times meal during the day. And we talked about 1-time meal is yogi, 2-time meal is bhogi, and 3-time meal is rogi. So 1 time if you take meal during the day, then you are a determined yogi. But if you are eating twice, That becomes your sense and joy. And if you are eating 3 times, then you are actually a sick person. So that's, what Shastras say. Well, Britishers came to India and they spread everywhere. You have to have morning, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. So we have to understand what is good for us and what is not. And this is where we are looking at this acronym love. And sometimes we carry Bhagavad Gita, means again, I always carry one in my bag, even when I'm going to work and so, because you never know when you need the GPS system, right? GPS system is anytime we're feeling lost. So somebody could say, but why would you take Bhagavad Gita to the grocery store? Because we want to shop till we drop into Krishna consciousness. Right? We want to focus on Krishna consciousness. That's always in the cart of our heart. So spirituality is not just in the temples. It is not just for the temples. It is for every place, because there is no place that is devoid of Krishna. It is our eyes they don't see. So live Krishna consciousness, with Krishna consciousness in the kitchen, in the office, in the mall, in the shopping mall, everywhere. And His Holiness Bhakti Swami has a beautiful quote in this regard, I'm reminded of. Real spiritual advancement is tested not just in how we chant in the temple, but how we chant in a traffic jam. So our activities in 2 different situations. When everyone is chanting, it's very easy to chant. Means again, going to Vrindavan, devotional service becomes spontaneous because everyone is engaged in devotional service. But when it comes difficult times, then how well are we chanting? That is our true test. So what techniques can we apply on a day-to-day basis? We can create a personal Krishna hour every day. 1 hour every action, emails, driving, cooking, is consciously done with the Lord in the heart, in the mind, right? So this is where man mana bhava mad bhakta. He's saying that man mana, always remember. Bhava refers to that always aspect. So L is, what did we learn today? Love Krishna fully through the acronym love. L is to look beyond the temporary. O is to observe with devotional eyes. V is to verify the divine presence. And E is to explore the truth completely. Not look somewhere, but look everywhere. And in relation with Krishna. So, what kind of lesson can we take? Just like a rose needs water, our heart needs Krishna Katha to totally bloom. Don't let the thorns of this material life distract you from the fragrance of divine love. So we as devotees are so grateful and eternally grateful to Srila Prabhupada for having translated Bhagavad Gita and Srimadbhagavatam and making it so easy for our journey. They had to take that tough path so that they can pave the path for us, and other acharyas and senior Vaishnavas, they walked on that path. So now when many people have walked on the path becomes very clear. So they have made it easy for us. And so we pray, to Srila Prabhupada and our acharyas and the senior Vaishnavas that we may apply these 4 verses, not just to memorize them, but to internalize them. Not just to study, but to live based on them. So let's live in love with Krishna. Hare Krishna. Devi, would you be able to share some things?
Hare Krishna. No, I think actually I don't even need to summarize anything today. You have actually this beautiful acronym. Can you hear me? Can everybody hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So all I want to say is for just how the entire stage was set for this Chatushloki to be spoken, the essence of complete Srimad Bhagavatam in the 4 verses. The Canto 2 starts, some of us have background, some of us may not have the background. So I thought I'll quickly mention 1 or 2 lines. So Shukdev Goswami, he is answering Maharaj Parikshit's question. What is the duty of a person who is about to die? And Shukdev Goswami explains highest duty is to hear about, glorify and remember the Supreme Lord Krishna. So basically he emphasizes the path of Bhakti Yoga, devotion to Supreme. And by this chapter 9, Shukdev Goswami, he explains the entire crucial cosmic events. And we are reading this entire Bhagavatam as a nesting of conversations. So now we are at a point where conversation between Lord Brahma and Supreme Lord is going on. So that is the background. And here, when you have explained within the acronym, each of the verses, how the entire essence is covered through Brahmaji's confusion and quest for truth. It is a message for all of us in Kali Age times that Supreme Lord, he is revealing himself. Brahmaji is offering prayers, Lord is revealing himself. Brahmaji is seeking instruction. Humbly he is asking, please instruct me. And then Chatushloki appears. And we are learning the nice explanation within first verse 33. You explained L, acronym LOVE. Within that, the L stands for, what was that? Look beyond the temporary. So, and you gave us nice real life examples in each of the letters of the acronym. The technique, practical technique for us to remember is, let us start our day with positivity and in Krishna consciousness. Let me see beyond appearances and connect with the eternal. And then you explained to observe with devotional eyes. So that too we have to do with a devotional heart with devotional eyes. And so the humor which you have included in between, that each of the letters of acronym, it makes perfect sense to understand how to practically these techniques, how do we apply in life? Will it bring me closer to Krishna or will it distract me? We, for the verification of divine presence, we get so many opportunities in day-to-day life. And so not just to assume that God is just in temples. He's found in the core of our heart when we approach with humility. And then, of course, to explore the truth completely, we should be sincere and we should be seeking under all circumstances, both directly, indirectly. So basically, because these four verses have very long purports, huge volume of purports. Through this particular session, you made it possible for us to get the essence. And this is the essence of bhakti and the tattva or the truth. It is distilled here. It is said, Vaishnavacharya explains that it is the seed from which entire Srimadbhagavatam grows. So as of now, as I am seeing, watching the time also, I think, Prabhuji, we can go ahead and conclude this session. If anybody has any comments or realizations or reflections, you are welcome to share right now. We will chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra together once, and you can take time to raise your hand, and after that you can make a comment.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
All right, Prabhuji, go ahead.
Gandhra Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Srila Bhagavad ki jai, Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai, Nitai Go Premanande, Hari Hari Bol. Have a wonderful week in Krishna consciousness. Om Tat Sat. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Padma Mataji, Nilesh Prabhu, Ram Prabhu, Subhash Prabhu, Sumita Mataji, Pratiksha Mataji, Manju Mataji, and Rajesh Prabhu. Thank you, Prabhuji.
And Ram Prabhu. Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.